Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you're all enjoying the beautiful sunshine that has just come out to begin our ceremony here. Very auspicious and a good thing. And welcome on behalf of the Vietnam Veterans Memorial Fund. I'm the president of the Vietnam Veterans Memorial Fund and the founder. My name is Jan Scruggs. This is the 15th annual In Memory Day. And of course, we're happy to see everyone here. I especially want to thank our partners at the Xerox Corporation and recognize some of the distinguished visitors we have here, including Tamara Pappas, who's one of the original wall volunteers. And I might add today, and I think it's kind of interesting, that this is Flag Day. And I was just visiting the wall. If you have an opportunity, you look at panel 1. Somebody left something there about a fellow who unfortunately gave his life on Flag Day, and this would have been his 70th birthday. So a little flag was left there, and a little explanation of the incident that led to his demise. But Flag Day is celebrated every year on June the 14th, and this is the day that the U.S. flag was commemorated by a resolution of Congress in 1777. In 1916, Woodrow Wilson had a proclamation establishing June 14 as Flag Day. And while it's not a national holiday that everyone gets the day off or anything like that, the state of Pennsylvania, you may be interested to know, actually it is a state holiday in Pennsylvania, the only state in the entire nation that celebrates Flag Day with a holiday. So at this time, I would like to, first of all, thank you for being here. You know, this is a very healing place. This is the wall that heals, and this is a special time for each and every one of you, because I know the pain that inevitably comes with losing a family member. Our Master of Ceremonies is Captain Dennis Ferdy. He was commissioned in the Navy in 1969, and beginning in 1972, he began flying the F-4s over missions in North and South Vietnam, Laos, Cambodia, and also in Linebacker 2. He retired in 2008 with 39 years of service as the last active duty Vietnam combat veteran in the U.S. Navy. 2,000 hours in Navy fighter aircraft, 500 aircraft carrier landings, and that's pretty impressive. Decorated for gallantry twice. And ladies and gentlemen, Captain Ferdy, U.S. Navy, retired.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to our nation's capital. What a beautiful day we have today to honor these American heroes and patriots, your loved ones. If you are able, please stand while the Armed Forces Color Guard presents the colors, and remain standing until the completion of the invocation. Gunnery Sergeant Sarah Delamo, the President's own United States Marine Band, will now sing our national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's night's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Now, here to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance is Maureen Reike Foster, wife of a 2013 in memory honoree, Raymond William Reike. Raymond William Reike went to the U.S. Merchant Marine Academy in Kings Point, New York, from 1964 to 1968, and served in the United States Merchant Marine from 1968 to 1969. On December 26, 1969, Raymond was lost at sea at the age of 23 years of age. He was married to Maureen, who was 3 months pregnant with their daughter Mary Kate, who was born 6 months to the day after his death. Maureen, please come forward.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
This morning, the invocation will be given by Lieutenant Colonel James D. Gray, United States Army, Military District of Washington, Command Chaplain's Office.
Please join me praying according to your faith as I pray according to mine. Lord God, maker of heaven and earth, sovereign above all sovereigns, we approach you humbly as those who enjoy the wonderful peace and prosperity of these United States of America. Lord, particularly on this Flags Day, as we gather around this banner, a banner of one nation under God, indivisible with liberty and justice of all, a banner around which our warriors rally, a banner which they step forth willing to give their lives for our nation. Lord, today we recognize it is you who gives us life, breath, and health. Today we gather in this place for this annual In Memory Day and ask your blessings. Lord, we take these few minutes to remember our warriors who served in Vietnam and have stepped into eternity. As we verbally call out the names of these soldiers, Marines, sailors, airmen, Coast Guardsmen, and Merchant Marines, may you hear and bless with comfort those whose hearts ache with sorrow and grief. We seek to honor them and to honor those who stood at their side during the war and these years since. It is our prayer that in this place your presence, your comfort, your blessing would be bestowed on those who remain, their family, friends, and fellow warriors. Lord, though you desire peace for us, yet when war comes, you are there to help us in such times of need. Though the war in Vietnam is these many years past, there are still so many of our warriors and so many of their families who need your help in this time of need. May you, the God of peace and the God of all comfort, provide that which only you can give in our souls. May we, who so desperately need you, open our doors to your healing of soul and spirit, and may we know your peace, comfort, hope, and help. I ask your blessing on this gathering and on these United States of America. Lord, according to my faith as a Christian, I ask these blessings, and Lord, according to each of our faiths, we ask these blessings. Amen.
Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. Let me begin with a well-deserved thank you to Jan Scruggs and all who have worked together to support the Vietnam Veterans Memorial Fund. Such dedicated efforts have made possible the backdrop of this ceremony today. The powerful and perpetual tribute to our Vietnam veterans. It is indeed a tremendous honor to stand before you today on the 31st year of this spectacular memorial. This morning we come together to remember our fallen comrades. We honor these men who, as Abraham Lincoln said, gave their last full measure of devotion for this country. And that is why we gather today on Flag Day, and will continue to every year to honor our patriots, your loved ones. Our Vietnam veterans, while history may record certain controversies associated with the dispute, let no one dispute the honor and dignity of those who served there. As Lincoln additionally described, they laid so costly a sacrifice upon the altar of freedom. They stepped forward, drawn to a cause, a patriot's cause, larger than themselves. As Ronald Reagan once put it, the veterans of Vietnam were, and I quote, what we can only aspire to be: giving, unselfish, the epitome of human love, to lay down one's life so others may live. To my generation of veterans, this place is hallowed ground, held sacred for our nation and its fallen sons. This wall is not only a place, but also a time we can return to and share memories of our brothers in arms and our Vietnam experiences. We come to this place, this wall, to pay homage to heroes of a war long over that continues to claim Americans from our generation. Each of the men we will honor here today wore with pride and honor the uniform which I like to call the cloth of our country. A majority of these men today, patriots, were buried in this cloth of America. When the country called, they knew it was their turn to stand up for America, even as others around them fled the country rather than serve. Throughout their lives, these soldiers, sailors, Marines, airmen, and merchant Marines were proud of their service to the United States and knew their sacrifices were cherished in the hearts of their fellow countrymen. Vietnam service is once more universally recognized as a true badge of pride and courage. Along with their families, they are truly the long-suffering, unsung heroes of the Vietnam War. These men bore their wounds with honor and dignity. Their sacrifices are the same as the 58,286 names we have on the wall behind us. We salute all who serve with them, and we stand with the families who love them today. This morning we will induct 121 individuals, your loved ones, into the in-memory honor roll. I would like to introduce our first speaker and longtime supporter, Nancy Switzer. Nancy is the founder and national president of the Association of Vietnam Veterans of America, residing in Rochester, New York. She has received numerous awards for her work with veterans, to include the Associate of the Year from Rochester, New York State Associate of the Year, Western New York State Region's Veteran of the Year Award, and Vietnam Veterans of American National Commendation Medal, and the Humanitarian Award and Legion of Honor Bronze Medallion from the Chapel of the Four Chaplains. Mrs. Switzer has served on the State of New York's Veterans Advisory Committee, the Veterans Outreach Board of Directors, and developed the Association of Vietnam Veterans of America Project Friendship Program. Mrs. Switzer is married to Richard Joseph Switzer, a service-disabled Vietnam veteran.
Thank you. On behalf of the Associates of Vietnam Veterans of America, I truly want to thank you, Jan, and the Vietnam Veterans Memorial Fund for inviting me here today. It is an extreme honor. Our organization is proud to have been one of the first supporters of the in memory plaque when Ruth Coder Fitzgerald first suggested the idea to us in 1996. Knowing the cost of the Vietnam War to our families made it easy to join with her and move this important addition to the Vietnam Veterans Memorial. Ruth believed her brother was a victim of Agent Orange. John Coder, an Air Force helicopter pilot in Vietnam, died of non-Hodgkin's lymphoma in 1992. Ruth and her husband Barry, both Peace Corps volunteers in the 1960s, worked tireless to see that plaque and what it represents become reality. Ruth just passed away in April of this year. The in memory plaque is located near the three soldiers' statues, which I invite you to visit. Why is this plaque and this beautiful ceremony today so important? Why is this such a necessary element of this sacred place? What does this plaque bring to the site that is not fulfilled by the black granite wall or the Women's Memorial? While we can see and touch the memory of those who served and who gave their lives during the war in Vietnam, we cannot touch the names of those men and women who served in Vietnam, in the Vietnam War, and later died as a result of their service, except in our hearts. Each day in this country, the obituary pages contain the names of Vietnam veterans who have died as a result of their service in Vietnam, whether the cause is Agent Orange-related cancer, a suicide, or liver failure as a result of hepatitis C. It is clear that the Vietnam War continues to claim lives. These silent casualties of the war deserve the same honor, respect, and recognition that their fallen comrades, whose names are on the wall, have given since November 11th, 1982. The tragedy of post-traumatic stress disorder has robbed thousands of our veterans. Agent Orange-related disease has consumed our husbands, fathers, wives, sisters. We hear the anguish in the voices of children detailing the pain and suffering of their parents' battle because of hepatitis C. This simple plaque, this beautiful, simple ceremony provides those men and women and their family members the honor, respect, and recognition they deserve. Each of us has experienced the premature death of a fellow Vietnam veteran and comprehends the sense of loss and the need to know that there is a place where their service is recognized. This plaque is that place. It also serves as an important educational tool to inform our fellow citizens of the never-ending cost of war. When you leave here today, keep the memory of the names you have heard read fresh in your hearts, and know that they are no less casualties of the Vietnam War than those whose names you touch on the wall, just a few feet from here. Go back to your homes and tell your friends and neighbors that the Vietnam War has not stopped claiming lives. Veterans of that war continue to die each day because they chose the noble and honorable path to serve their country when they were called. In closing today, I would like to honor Ruth because of her undying love for her brother, our veterans, and our families. Thank you.
It is my honor to welcome a very distinguished guest, the Honorable Ileana Rose Lehtinen. Congresswoman Rose Lehtinen represents Florida's 27th Congressional District. Born in Havana, Cuba in July 1952, her family fled the oppressive communist regime of Fidel Castro in 1960, settling in Miami. Before serving in Congress, she was a teacher in Florida. She was elected to the U.S. House of Representatives in 1989, the first Hispanic woman to serve in Congress. As a wife of a Vietnam veteran and stepmother to Marine aviators, She is passionate about improving our nation's military. Ladies and gentlemen, Congresswoman.
Thank you so much. What a great honor and a privilege it is to be with you today. Let me first apologize for a quick in and out today. We have votes in the Capitol, and we're in the middle of them. So my deepest apologies, and it is certainly no reflection of my a deep appreciation for the work that all of you do with this wonderful project. Today is indeed a very special day. For more than one reason. As was pointed out, it is special because it is Flag Day, a day when we commemorate the adoption of the symbol of our country, a symbol of freedom, of democracy, of liberty, recognized around the world. And it is special because it is the Army's birthday, a day when we commemorate the adoption of the fighting forces who protected the beginnings of our new democracy in 1775 and who have protected our freedom for more than 238 years. But today is also special because it is a day when we recognize each and every brave serviceman and woman who served and died in Vietnam. Today we recognize not only the names of those here on the wall, but also the unsung ones, the heroes whose sacrifices were never officially acknowledged at the wall. As the proud wife, as you heard, of a Vietnam veteran, I know about the incredible sacrifices that were made not only by those who gave their lives on the battlefield, but also by those who returned home changed forever. For almost 2 decades in Vietnam, patriots fought countless battles in the name of freedom. Many never returned home to us, and for many of those who did return, their lives were never the same. They returned with mental and physical injuries that they would suffer from for the rest of their lives. My husband, Dexter, suffered a traumatic face injury in Vietnam and proudly carries its mark with him still today. Other veterans with injuries like post-traumatic stress syndrome and its related illnesses, exposure to chemicals, cancer, diabetes, heart attacks, hepatitis, liver disease, and the list goes on and on. Those injuries would follow them and does follow them for the rest of their lives. The suffering of these brave men and women and their families deserves to be acknowledged. And on this In Memory Day, we honor each and every hero who gave their all on behalf of all of us. And although these names cannot be on the wall, we will forever remember their sacrifice. On In Memory Day, I am especially proud that these names will soon have a plaque near the wall. Thanks to the incredible dedication and hard work of Jan Scruggs, a person who has great credibility and a wonderful reputation in the Congress. That may be an insult to you, Jana. I don't know if I degraded you. And all of the members of the Vietnam Veterans Memorial Foundation, thank you. Thank you for what you do. This education center that will soon be built here at this site will allow families to recognize the contributions of all Vietnam's heroes, including those we honor here today. The Vietnam Veterans Memorial is one of the most moving and meaningful memorials here in Washington. Tourists, family members, loved ones gather in remembrances every day, no matter the weather. And I'm so grateful that we will soon have an education center so that visitors can learn about all the heroes of Vietnam. Mementos left here, including those for veterans like those we honor today, have been kept by the National Park Service and will be displayed in a permanent exhibition. The center will also serve as a temporary memorial for veterans returning from Iraq and Afghanistan. Educating others is one of the most impactful ways that we can honor our heroes. The great memorial will forever stand as a beacon of liberty, of freedom, and honor to these heroes. And no matter how many years pass, we will never forget the lives that were lost, and we honor them on a day like today, today on Flag Day, on the Army's birthday, and in Memory Day. We recognize the ideas that our country was built upon and all the heroes who have given so much to protect those very ideals. Let us never forget the service that our patriots have made and continue to make as we all stand here today. Thank you very much. Congratulations, Jan. Thank you to the foundation members.
Thank you, Congresswoman. We are very honored to have our next speaker with us today. Ira Hamburg was born and raised on the south side of Chicago. After he completed secondary school, he served in the United States Army. He completed his higher education and was hired to teach at the University of Maryland and subsequently at both Howard University and the University of the District of Columbia, where he was the department chairman. He ended his academic life as the director of foreign student admissions. He entered the world of business as the founder and chairman of a small computer company. He was a volunteer at the Wall shortly after it was dedicated in 1982 and was one of the founders of the Friends of Vietnam Veterans Memorial. He is the founding father of this In Memory program and promotes the mission of healing and closure. Please welcome Ira Hamburg.
Good morning to you all. The first time I looked out and the first In Memory program that we had several years ago, maybe 20 years ago, there were 3 people standing in front of me. And I'm sort of awestruck in looking at the size of the program today. And for all of you here, it's been over 40 years since the shooting has stopped in Vietnam. But as you know, very personally, the war has never ended, because it's the war that you all carry within you and that thousands and hundreds of thousands of people carry within you. During our time of our small organization, which was called the Friends of the Vietnam Veterans Memorial, we saw the results of the war on those families whose names could not appear on the wall because of the limitation of the space there. But that's been rectified, because after today, your loved ones will all be part of the Vietnam Veterans Memorial in its archives and its In Memory program. And it will share no less the honor that has been given to those people who have had their names inscribed upon the wall. Shortly after the memorial was dedicated, I began visiting on a regular basis and soon became a VIP, which is known as Volunteer in the Park. Many nights I stood in the shadow of the memorial, silently watching as your loved ones struggled with unanswered questions whispered to the memorial, to the wall. Why him? Why not me? I'm sure all of you have heard your loved ones say something to that effect. What a painful, painful thing to feel, that for some reason
you were spared and someone else was not spared. That's a terrible burden to carry for all you. So for all these years, for your loved ones, as many of you know, when they came back from Vietnam, they were not the same, and they had to carry this burdens. Others found themselves facing the wall, and they were transformed to a different place and time, back to a battlefield, back to an incident. And they saw a battle unfold before their eyes. A poem written on from one such person read, "Incoming, incoming, take cover. Shells burst all around me. Tracers light up the sky and bullets screaming, rushing at me from everywhere. Ripping at my flesh, burning my insides, I holler, I've been hit. Help, help." But the visitors at the memorial look at me strangely as they cannot see the battle. Those are the kinds of experiences that our volunteers who spend hours and hours here day and night see over and over again through these many years. One note that was attached to a photograph left at the memorial. This was in 1984 in the dedication of the three fighting men. One note quoted was a quote from Simon and Garfunkel's song Bookends. It said, "Long ago it must be, I have a photograph. That's all that's left you." It's a very sad poem. And when I look out at this audience today, I realize you're not alone. And you won't be alone because you have each other. You have a program like this that can help you to bring some healing and solace to you. We are here today to honor your fallen hero, but with you and other loved ones who provide comfort and solace to you, they recognize what the 17th century poet once wrote. They also serve who stand and wait. And that has been an extremely powerful thing. For you who have stood and waited, the battle may have been even more difficult than for your loved one, or as difficult. So while we are here today to honor our fallen loved ones, I am here also to honor you, the survivors, and thank you for your courage. It is my hope that your participation in the In Memory program brings you the solace and the comfort that this program was created to do. Thank you.
I now invite the family and friends of those previously inducted into the In Memory Honor Roll to come up and read their loved ones' names. I would ask past participants only to come forward at this time.
My dad, Jack Robert Ritchie Jr.
My husband, Robert Joseph Givermont, Mekong Delta, 1968-69, and my father, Major Albert R. Girton, 1966-67.
My dad, Robert Kapczynski, 173rd Airborne.
My caring husband, wonderful brother, fun cousin, and true friend to all, Michael Anthony DeJean.
My husband, Kenneth Wadenslinger, U.S. Army.
My husband, Christopher Blair Benedict, Semper Fi, and for my friend Linda George, her husband, Robert George.
My husband, Lloyd James Hedrick Jr., 1968-69, Agent Orange victim.
Our father, Chaplain Carl Alfred Owl.
My dad, Joseph G.P. Russo, Semper Fi.
Michael Thomas Duffy.
On behalf of my late husband, Kirk Bailey Kremer, U.S. Army 173rd Airborne, welcome home.
My dad, William Gene Foreman.
U.S. Army.
My husband, Edward Pete Harrison.
My husband, Larry Dean Parr, United States Navy, USS Krishna.
My dad, Alvin Wibbles, United States Marine Corps.
My husband, William Mastrufus, U.S. Army.
My husband, William Joseph Red Green, Jr., United States Navy, USS Higbee.
My husband, Tommy Marjoram, U.S. Air Force.
Colonel Floyd James Abney, U.S. Air Force fighter pilot.
My father, Joseph S. Cornish, Jr., United States Marine Corps, Ura.
My fellow Vietnam veteran, Dennis Slyby, Lance Corporal, United States Marine Corps, decorated with the Navy Cross, died 1999.
My father, Captain Kevin McLaughlin, U.S. Army.
My beloved first husband, Spec 4 John Carlin Hollander.
At this time, we will prepare to read the names of this year's in memory honorees. I would like to remind our guests to please keep the area in front of the tributes clear. Once the families have moved into place, they will begin the honor roll call. Families and friends, please come forward now and stand behind your loved one's tribute. As you gather behind your loved one, we will hear Chuck Price's The Unsung Heroes, a special song recognizing those who served in Vietnam.
Sing a song for the unsung heroes. Let's all stand up tall and sing it loud. Let's all sing a song for the unsung heroes. And when we're through, there will be no doubt. Sing it for the ones that didn't make it, and sing it for the ones who live to tell. Sing it for the doctors and the nurses and the corpsmen who witnessed living hell. We'll sing it for the ones who flew the choppers. Sing it for the ones who flew the jets. Let's make sure that we all remember, 'cause the price they pay is too much to forget. So let's all sing a song for the unsung heroes. Let's all stand up tall and sing it loud. Let's all sing a song for the unsung heroes. And when we're through, there will be no doubt. Let's all sing a song for the unsung heroes. Let's all stand up tall and sing it loud. Let's all sing a song for the unsung heroes. And when we're through, there will be no doubt. And when we're through, there will be no doubt. Let's all sing a song for the unsung heroes. Let's all stand up tall and sing it loud. Let's all sing a song for the unsung heroes. Let's all stand up tall and sing it loud. Let's all sing a song for the unsung heroes. Let's all stand up tall and
Tamora, would you please introduce the in memory folks today?
Check. Check. Amen. Check.
My husband, John Dudley Noss, U.S. Air Force.
My husband, Andrew Asa Sharp, Jr., U.S. Army.
Our dad, husband, James Vernon Cuthbertson, 1st Cav.
My dad, Donald G. Rose, U.S. Air Force.
Our dad, Marine Corps Gunnery Sergeant William Wilson.
My uncle, Jackie Allen Young, U.S. Navy.
My father, Commander James David Tate, U.S. Navy.
USS Bennington, VS 38.
My father, David Costin.
My father and best friend, George Yergy Rhodes, United States Navy, USS Ranger, VA 145, Vietnam, 1966-67.
My husband, John Dale Abbott, United States Navy, USS Ranger.
Do you want to just read it?
No, I'm reading it.
It's your turn.
It's your turn.
Okay.
It's your turn.
I don't have that.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Jimmy Dean Pruitt, United States Army.
Grady Howard Jr., United States Army, Vietnam, 1966 through 1970.
Our brother, Raymond Dallas Takelet, Sergeant, U.S. Marine Corps. Semper Fi.
My dad, D.L. Gardner, Cu-Chi, 1964 to 1970, U.S. Army.
My dad, Paul Thomas Prebish, U.S. Air Force, Vietnam, 1967 to 1968.
My husband and best friend, Arthur Ray Martin, U.S. Air Force.
My dad, her husband, Randall Richard Gray.
My husband, Lee Charles Hurtaud, U.S. Army.
My dad, Lieutenant Robert Edward Kennedy, 101st Airborne, 1970 to 71.
My father, Harold Leslie McPherson, U.S. Army.
My husband, Major Warren Robert Bray, Sr., U.S. Marine Corps, 1964-65.
My husband, Wayne H. Tysinger, U.S. Army. What? You couldn't hear it? Say it again. My husband, Wayne H. Tysinger, U.S. Army.
My husband, Robert James Benzio, U.S. Navy.
My dad, Colonel James Allen Morrissey, U.S. Army.
My father, Colonel Donald Bruce Williams, U.S. Army. Miss you, Dad.
My dad, Bobby Joe Engel, U.S. Army.
My dad, Lance Corporal Richard Williams, United States Marine Corps.
Joseph Alvin Kohler, U.S. Army. Normand Ermes Raymond.
Thank you.
Lieutenant Colonel Glenn James Thorson, United States Army, 11th Armored Cavalry.
My grandpa, Bobby Michael, U.S. Marine Corps.
My father, Larry Hugh Butch Rogers, United States Army.
My father, Charles W. D'Amico, Spec 5, United States Army.
My father, Marshal Eugene Johnson, United States Army.
My husband, Daniel Robert Shea, U.S. Army, 1st Infantry Division, 1966-1967.
My papa, Richard Thomas Smith, United States Navy.
My husband, Lieutenant Colonel Brent Robinson Miller, U.S. Army.
My father, Corporal Joseph Dwayne Pettit, U.S. Army.
My father, Specialist 5, William Frederick Muller, proudly serving our U.S. Army.
My husband, her father, and beloved friend, Lynn M. Ross, U.S. Army, Cu-Chi, Vietnam, 1967 to 69.
My brother, Bernard Edward Clatterline, U.S. Army, and his wife.
Our father, Richard Henry Rochkalb, Lieutenant Colonel, U.S. Air Force.
Harold Bentley. Colin Michael Coughlin. Ralph Bernard Enos. William Francis Desmond. Theodore Paul Caruso. Melvin Ray Valentine.
Theodore William Cantrell, Jr., Paul Dwayne Calthan, Joseph Alvin Kaler, Normand Ernest Raymond, Emmanuel Manny Williams, John Marcus Rees, Leonard Joseph Maxwell, Gary E. Floyd, Wilton Bryant Robinson, William Thomas Macy, James Ferdinand McKernan, James Elvin Rafferty, Russell Carl Jeffs.
My dad, Stephen Dale Bayless, United States Navy.
My husband, Elmer Eugene Hogan, U.S. Army.
My husband, Jerry Joseph Foster,
U.S. Army, 104th Airborne, Crew Chief of Chopper 071.
My dad, Larry Allen Scott.
My twin brother, First Lieutenant Ron Goodwin, United States Air Force.
My husband, SFC Daryl Elwin Warfel, retired U.S. Army.
My husband, their father, and proud papa, Gary Ray Bennett.
My husband and children's father, Mario Dominic Petiti, U.S. Army, 129th Assault Helicopter Division.
My husband, Gilbert Leo Ryder, United States Marine Corps. Semper Fi, honey, I love you. Hoorah and welcome home.
My dad, Gunny Sergeant Sylvester Woody James Kennedy, United States Marine Corps, 2 tours between 1965 and 1970.
My father, Victor W. Gorlinski, Lieutenant Colonel, U.S. Army, 2 tours, 1959 and 1967-68.
my very, very special husband, Bernard Foyle, United States Air Force.
My husband, Gerald William Murray, United States Marine Corps.
My husband, George Lanter, a wonderful father, grandfather, husband, son, and brother, United States Army, 1969-1972.
My grandfather, William Allen Kirk.
My husband, Charles Leslie Seddon, U.S. Army.
Our father, John Henry Barrett, U.S. Army.
My husband, Melvin Glenn Hensley, loving father, brother, grandfather, United States Marine Corps.
Edward Earl Steiger, United States Marine Corps.
My father, Raymond Reiki, U.S. Merchant Marine.
Our father, husband, and grandfather, U.S. Army Sergeant First Class Frank Markovich.
My brother, her husband, their cousins, Jerome Joseph DeJean, U.S. Air Force.
My husband, James Newton Henderson, U.S. Air Force, retired.
my husband, the children's father, a cousin, brother-in-law, and new grandfather, Edwin Harold Unger II, U.S. Army.
My husband, Colonel Ralph Thusen, United States Marine Corps, from 1946 to 1977.
Husband, brother, cousin, James Paul Reed, 1968 to 70, U.S. Army. Welcome home, honey. I love you.
Thomas J. Kelly, U.S. Army, 1968, 1970.
My mother's loving husband and our father, Kevin Albert Root.
My husband, Richard D. Yancey.
My best friend, Orville Hugh Olson, Sergeant, United States Marine Corps, Semper Fi.
Our father, Sergeant Ronald Stephen Muty, United States Marine Corps.
Our father, Richard Ernest Crumvita, Specialist, U.S. Army, 1968 to 1974.
My brother, James Vincent Flo, USS LaSalle.
Our father and loving husband, Gary Berta, U.S. Navy.
Husband, father, and grandfather, Frederick D. Brester, United States Army.
My wife, Sandy's brother, and my brother-in-law, Charles W. Mernan III, U.S. Army.
My husband, Thomas Earl Murray, U.S. Navy.
My husband, father to our 3 children, Fred Scott Morgan, U.S. Marine Corps.
Michael Joseph Lipka, U.S. Army and USO.
My husband, Brian Hill, U.S. Air Force Captain.
My dad, Carl Edmund White, U.S. Army.
Our beloved brother, son, and uncle, Wallace Robert Schmidt, United States Marine Corps, 67, 68, Semper Fi.
My husband, Hugo Antonio Rocha, USA Army.
Richard Michael Hoffman, Marine Corps Sergeant, Vietnam, 67, 68.
Charles Edward White. Lehman Jean Harris. Jerry Lester Griffith. Larry David Troop. Kenneth Franklin Brunel. Stuart Chester Price. Dallas Marion Stevenson. James Ray Jennings. Larry Thomas Dodd. John Robert Christensen. David Frank Newhouse. Marvin Dwayne Gebhart. Wilson Atlee Simpson. Regis Anthony Franciscus Jr. Don Carl Allen. Jimmy Darrell Bradley.
Ladies and gentlemen, Trumpeter Gunnery Sergeant Brian Turnmeyer of the President's own United States Marine Band will now perform taps, to be followed by the laying of the tributes at the wall. Family and friends, thank you for your presence here today. You may now bring your loved ones' tributes to the wall and lay them at the panel number indicated on the back of the tribute. Ladies and gentlemen, this will conclude our in-memory ceremony this morning. May God bless all of our veterans and the United States of America. Thank you.